This is page 76 in our notes, and purple and black are my colors. This one's going to have, we're just going to call it statistics. And with statistics, we're actually working on SP 2, 3, 4, and 5 for our standards. The things we're going to work on are the mean, which we call our average. We'll talk about median, which is like middle. Mode is the most common. We will talk about range, which is how far our numbers range, biggest, smallest. We will talk about quartiles, breaking up our data into quartiles. And we're also going to talk about interquartile range, and we refer to that as Q3 minus Q1. So a lot we're going to talk about here. A lot of this you've seen before. It shouldn't really be new to you. So the first one we're going to talk about is mode. I think this is the easiest one. So I'd always start with, when they have to find all this stuff, I'd always find mode most. Mode is whichever numbers occur the most. So I'm going to write mode. I want to write most next to that. So in a range of data, it's whichever one occurs the most often. Mode most often. Is it possible that you would have no mode if nothing occurs more than once? Correct. You could have no mode. You could also have more than one mode. So we're collecting data and we have 275s and 277s. You could have two modes. They're tied. Okay, I'm going to trace this blue line because I'm going to need every line possible on our notes today. The next one we're going to talk about is the mean. Mean is the average. Your mean or average, you have to add up all the numbers and divide by however many numbers are in the data set. So you're going to add up all numbers and divide by how many numbers are in the set. Your mean could be a whole number. You may have to round it to the nearest tenths or hundredths. Add them all up and divide by however many numbers there are. So if there's 6 numbers, you're going to add the 6 numbers together and then divide by 6. If there were 7 numbers, you would add all 7 numbers together and divide by 7. The next one we're going to talk about is median. Median is the middle number, but your numbers have to be in order from least to greatest first before you find the middle number. You can't just circle the middle number. So put the numbers in least to greatest order first, comma, and then find the middle number. If you have an odd number of data, like 7 numbers, it'll be easy to find the one in the middle. If you have 6 numbers in your data set, it's going to be right in the middle of the third and the fourth one. So you have to add those two together and divide by 2. So we're going to do some examples here. We've got set A data. And so the numbers for set A are going to be 4, 10, 12, 13, 14, 18, 20. Then we're going to put a little squiggly line, and then we're going to have set B's data set over here. And those numbers are going to be 2, 7, 7, 9, 10, 15, 20, 23. So to make sure you get all your numbers there. So I want to practice finding the median or the middle of each data set. So some people kind of go like 2 over here on the left, 2 over here on the right. So it's kind of like, okay, so we're working our way to the middle. 1 over here, 1 over here. So 13 is your median for this data set. So with an odd number, it was easy to find the one in the middle. When you do the same thing over here and you underline 2 here and then 2 there, so then you go 1 and 1, and then now, you're right between 9 and 10. Some people can see it, what's right in the middle of 9 and 10. Some people can see that it's 9.5 or 9.5. If you're not sure what's in the middle of them, you would add the two numbers together and divide by 2. So you would add 9 plus 10 together, which is 19, and when you divide 19 by 2, you're going to get 9.5. With this particular standard, you can use a calculator as well for this standard. All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about is range, and range is how far the numbers range. So range is the difference between the biggest number and smallest number. Move this up just a little bit. The difference between the biggest number and smallest number. So how do you find the range? Difference means subtract. So you would be subtracting. You are going to subtract the smallest number from the biggest number. So we could look at our data set A and data set B, and we can actually look at those, and you could talk about the mode, which one occurs the most often. There wouldn't be a mode for set A. There's no numbers that occur more than once. Set B, the mode would be 7. It's the number that occurs twice. The mean, in order to find their means, you'd have to add them all up and then divide by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on this side, and you'd have to add these all up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then divide by 8 to find the median, or to find the mean of this one. To find the range, well, if I look at set A, you're taking the biggest number 20 and subtracting the smallest number 4. If I look at set B, you're taking the biggest number 23 and subtracting 2, the biggest number, and subtract the smallest number from it. So set A, in order to find the range of that, you would just take 20 and subtract 4, and the range would be 16. And then for set B, the range would be 23, the biggest number, and subtract 2, the smallest number, and its range is 21. So these numbers are all kind of closer together. They don't range as far apart as these numbers do. Draw a line.